I do it. Mic's on. Mike's. Hello. Testing. Well, light's on, but no sound. I don't know. Testing. 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 Hello. There you go. You got it going. All right. Vince, you in the mood to lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
All right. If you would, please.
Just stand up.
If everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vince. Public comments. How are we doing on public comments? Any public comments?
We do have one speaker, Mayor. Can I take the roll first, please?
Sure, go right ahead.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Here.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Here.
Vice Mayor Brightcrus?
Here.
Mayor McKay?
Here.
We have a quorum. Dude, it was set at 85. No, I was set at 73.
Is that first? Yeah. Mayor, we have one public speaker today, David Kaczynski.
Okay, anybody else that would like to speak tonight in public comment, please fill out a form. It should be on the back table, and we'll be glad to let you speak. Hi, David.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
David Kaczynski, 6411 Hollow T Trail. First, off tangent here. Yesterday, first meeting as president of Sunshine Ranches Homeowner Association. We had a great turnout. But that's not real reason why I'm talking. Today, legislature passed legislation that will allow gas stations to sell booze. I guess the rumors that I heard is that the Tom Thumb store over at Dykes and Griffin is interested in doing a land swap so they can be benefactors of this legislation. I will be against anything like this, and I know there's going to be waivers that would need to be passed and probably comp plan amendments. I would just like to ask the council to hold against any kind of land swap. Keep the land for the town. That's it. Thanks.
No worries. Anyone else? No one else? Awesome. Public comment closed. We'll move on. Board reports.
Noah Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue, Chair of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Board. There's two things. One, the board has directed me to continue to ask you to give us the authority to review the implementing ordinances on the US 27 property. And I asked them if they wanted me to continue, and they said no until the council says yes or no to us. The other thing is that we did review the 5-acre parcel, and we passed two motions. One motion says that it is not to be sold, but if that the council desires to do something with it other than parkland, that a lease arrangement be made. That's the first one. And the second one is that I just went brain dead. Steve, do you remember? I went brain dead for the first time. I must be getting old. Anyway, I don't remember.
What it was designed for, Noel?
What?
What it was designed for? What plans you came up with? The covered arena?
Yeah, that was it. That if you do decide to go forward as a commercial property, that the plans and designs and all of the things that we said were good for it and not good for it, that the board worked on for the 3 years that we did on those commercial property sites, be used as a guide to go forward on it. So those are the two things that we did. And that's all for the board for this. So we have looked at the 5 acres, and you now have our report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gate Chapels from the Parks Board. What we did was we made a motion to come back next month and review what the usage of the park, because it's been changed so much, and what they see in the park and what they think they would like to see in the park and what they think they would like to see with the 5 acres. But as far as development, they didn't seem real excited about it on the 5 acres. They had mentioned some other things. So I just felt rather than waste a lot of time as chair, I asked them to make a list of some of the things that they would like to see both on the 5 acres and the park, because they're kind of together, and what they would not want to see. But I will tell you, they definitely did not want to see a gas station or anything that was commercially oriented. In other words, they were thinking more like an arts and crafts type place or something like that, more country. So we'll see what they come up with at the end of the next meeting, and then I'll come back and let you know. As far as the parks are going, I don't really get up here and tell you much, because December does an in-depth report on every one of the parks and where we're at and what we're doing. So I know you read them, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, but everything seems to be moving along smoothly. And all we need is a lot more money. So if you all have any money laying around, sweep it up and hand it to us, and we'll try to go after another part. Thank you.
Bill Hollingsworth again. I got the addendum. I know what the second motion was. The second motion was that the property, the primary use that we believe it should be is like an equestrian center, a covered equestrian center for competition, be built on the parkland, and that the 5 acres be used for the parking as stabilized area. That was the second one. That a equestrian center, a covered competition grade equestrian center be built there. Thank you.
Mr. Hartman.
Bob Hartman, Chair of the
Drainage.
and Infrastructure Advisory Board. So we spent the last meeting hashing through this concept as well. And I think the consensus of our board is that this piece of property is a gem. It should have that big diamond in it, not a shopping center, not a fast food joint, not a gas station. This is a very special part of our town, and that it really either has to have something phenomenal done to it or leave it alone. I think we voted to leave it alone. The concept of the equestrian center that Doug mentioned, that Newell mentioned, that was George's idea. I mean, we talked about how we really wanted something special to go in there, and George started elaborating off the top of his head that some sort of an equestrian facility or something like Davy's got, but newer, updated, more modern would be a great idea. But the general consensus was, unless it's great, leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board reports? Seeing none, we'll go on to council member comments. Go ahead, Dee.
Go ahead, Gary. You go first.
Not me.
Me?
Anybody want to go first?
Okay,
Gary?
I'll go first. I'll be first. There's been some articles in our newsletter that have been put out about identity theft, and I have to give a lot of the credit for the research and everything that went out to Sandy. She has been working with me and helping me. And she's also supplied a bunch of literature in the back of the room explaining about this identity theft. As I was in my travels over here today, I got another phone call from the IRS. And I got one yesterday, and I have it on here. I was going to play it tonight, but I've decided not to. But they called me again, told me that I need to contact them so that the police were not sent out to my house, and, I wasn't arrested for, a violation through the IRS. Well, as you all know, the IRS will not contact you by phone. They will contact you by mail, certified letters, or whatever, but not by that. So I urge you to pick up some of this literature in the back, read it, buyer beware, if you get these calls. Identity theft is a serious, serious thing, and it's getting worse and worse every single day. I promise you I'm going to follow up on it and do everything I possibly can. The next thing I'd like to talk about is I did attend the Sunshine Ranch's homeowners meeting, and what I found very interesting is they had a guest speaker who was none other than our chair for our comprehensive planning board, Newell Hollingsworth, and he, if you're interested in your homeowners associations, whether you're watching this on TV or you're here, he gave a very nice presentation of what the board's functions are, how they operate, how many people are on there, and exactly what they do. In other words, pound everything out, as he put it, to make us look a little smarter and not fight so much on the camera. So I felt that was very informative, and it was really nice. So if you are interested, I'm sure Noel would accommodate you and come out and speak at your homeowners. And I guess that's it. If I think of anything else, I'll just jump in there.
Okay. Who's next? Freddie? You got
I don't
anything?
have any report.
No. Steve?
Yeah, I'll go.
One more thing.
One more thing. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4 more things. Sorry. I heard the groan out there. Sorry, Newell. All right. I do have a number of things that I want to touch on. The first one is, I think one of the issues that we see, I think all over town, it certainly has been brought to my attention numerous times out in the western side of town, is some large commercial operations that are being operated within neighborhood homes. I'm not talking about an accountant here or, architect. Yeah, an architect or small businesses in the home. Those are fine. There's no issue there. There's no problem there. That's not what this is about. This is about residential homes that have employees coming in there and then taking vehicles going back out. So it's multiple traffic, going both directions and then coming back. I'm talking about operations that have multiple vehicles there at the place itself, taking up parking. I'm talking about operations that generate an exorbitant amount of waste because of materials they use in whatever operation they've got. I'm talking about operations that are clearly commercial operations that are operating in a residential neighborhood. And what I would like to do is, if the council agrees, I would like to ask the administration to bring some resources to bear on this, to come up with some recommendations on how better to handle these. I don't come here with a solution, or I'm not pushing a particular way to handle this. What I'm asking for is just your support in directing the administration to go ahead and proceed on this. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in there.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll support you on that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
I'm for it.
Me too.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
you
you
got
very
it all.
much. So Andy, if you can start working on that, and we'll see what we come up with. Second thing, we have a master teacher in the house. Marty Sherwood has put together a tremendous program for, it's a statewide, correct? Statewide, to teach a topic that he is extremely well versed on. As a matter of fact, I hear he's got the name that goes with this. but he's now called Mr. Ethics. He wrote, seriously, he did a tremendous job. He was recognized by a state organization for doing the work, getting it done, the course done so quickly and so professionally, and was recognized for that on ethics in the accounting field in the state of Florida.
Cool.
So many folks will be learning from him. Thank you, Marty. Congratulations. Do you want to take 2 minutes? I say 2 minutes.
There's no such thing.
I know, there's no such
You're
thing.
asking
But
him.
if you want to take 2 minutes, because you will do a much better job of explaining exactly what this course is.
They probably did that for a reason.
It's up on the top, farther up. We all hear you. I'm sorry, in the middle there. Oh, man. Let me be clear. The course was not on microphone.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. It involved the unification between the CPA profession with the Florida Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Florida Government Finance Officers Association. I was involved with a committee to unify the ethics biannual licensing requirement. So it's time management. The officers with certifications were required to attend 2 different ethics classes. And with the partnership, we're able to unify the biannual licensing requirements to avoid redundancy and replication and consolidate 2 classes into 1 class and meet the joint licensing requirements within the entire state of all Florida CPAs and Florida government finance officers and officials. So the kickoff is in June. The course has been approved by both parties, and I'm proud to be involved with the committee and the effort. It was quite a long time to put together, but we were able to do it all within 1 fiscal year. So I'm proud of that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marty, and we're proud of what you've done. Thank you.
Awesome.
Just a note of good news. Rod and his staff did a great job working to get the drainage done out there on 185th, 186th, 55th. And we saw the results of that in the storm that came through last weekend. If you haven't seen the before and after pictures, it's a sight to behold. If you're not familiar with that, that was a major flood area. After the big storm, this go around, it drained immediately. So it was outstanding job. The residents out there really see the difference. So thank you for all that was done for that, and everybody. I know it was a team effort. So thank you. And actually, I think I'll end it there. Thank you.
Okay. Gary, I'll let you
My
go.
turn. Thank you. Okay, normally I'm the guy that's quick, to the point, and brief.
No.
You had 1 or 2 or 3. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 12.
All right.
So fasten your seatbelt, folks. Okay, it's going to be an interesting ride. First thing I'd like to bring up is a request from the Education Advisory Committee. They want to expand their number from 8 to 9, and they have a willing volunteer by the name of Jennifer Montgomery. She lives in Rolling Oaks, right on 178th, and I'd like to, they asked me to bring this forward, and if the council approves,
Good.
you know, we can make
I'm
those-
good.
Okay.
I'm good.
It's good.
Me too.
Thank you.
That was easy.
That's one. Okay. Just want to announce that in May, we're going to be visited by Marty Kerr on the 25th. And any questions you may have, and they also are going to be here to help us with any homestead exemptions and things of that nature. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that one for the record. And I'll be saying this a couple times. We have hazmat in the park, household hazardous waste coming up in July 8th. As a matter of fact, 8 to 2. Hopefully Broward County Sheriff will be there.
Hazmat in the park.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Surrounded by alligator.
Absolutely. You know, it's Rolling Oaks Park. You come in, you don't even have to get out of your car or truck. You know, they'll empty it out for you. It's great. Absolutely. And for the Rural Arts Board, we have the fifth annual photo contest. The pictures are due by the 15th of July. Submit them into see Sue at the front desk and Susan, and she's also the staff liaison for that committee, so she can answer any questions that anybody may have. The application for the town scholarships is due, just FYI, due by the end of May for all the kids or mom and dads that are out there in TV land, and the application is on the website, on the town website. So if anybody's interested, they can fill that out. Another thing I just wanted to address is the earlier comment about a land swap. I think that's a rumor, and I'm not sure how that got started, but I can guarantee you that the first speed bump is my dead body. So I don't think that's a cause for concern.
I think we can join in on this one. I don't think anybody up here is going to allow that to happen. So.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to address that, to put any of those rumors to rest, or anything like that. And as I understand it, the bill that passed for gas stations with liquor stores, I believe it's a square footage requirement of like 10,000 square feet or something like that, as opposed to acreage. So, and that probably is counting second story, type thing. So just need to consider that before that. One of the things I'd like to talk about is the task that we put before all the boards regarding the 5 acres that the town has out here by Green Meadow Sanctuary. One of the common threads that kept coming up over and over was, how can this be done mechanically with the council? And I explained to everybody that the town can sell that property. They only need 3 votes. That's it, 3 votes. And I said, I'm a no vote. I made that very clear at the very beginning, and went on. And the town can sell any of its properties, if they're not encumbered by any grant restriction or anything like that, with 3 votes, and 3 votes only. So, everybody was kind of amazed that it was that easy. And it really got to me thinking, especially after about the 8th advisory board meeting, where I was asked that kind of question in passing. And this is something I'd like everybody to consider up here for future, because it really got me thinking. I can be this staunch supporter of open spaces and all that, but 20 years from now, 15 years from now, when I'm, good Lord willing, I'll be out, watching the birds and the grass grow. But we all have expiration dates. We just don't know when it is. And so I'm trying to think of somehow to further that, where a future council can't, just because we've land banked it because we want open space, doesn't mean that somebody in the future isn't going to do that. So what I'm proposing, and this is strictly in the beginning, and there's a lot of water that's got to go under the bridge for this, is that we consider a charter amendment to our charter, where any land sale or land use to, let's say, commercial, be required to have 5 votes of the council, be a unanimous vote on something like that. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I mean, this is 18 months away before it would go. It would have to go before the voters on a referendum and all that. But it's the only way, after a lot of discussion, that I could think of that, that you could get out of the 3 vote easy spin.
Why wouldn't you just convert it to a 4-vote supermajority rather than a unanimous?
Make it as difficult as possible 20 years from now.
Yeah, I actually think that's a great idea, and might even make it a little tougher to say 5 votes to bring it to a referendum to the town, so that it needs.
Unfortunately, I invented that law, and the legislature shot me down and changed the law to prohibit the referendum side. But you can 100% do what Councilmember Jablonski wants, which is amending the charter to require 5 affirmative votes to change the land use from anything to commercial, and 5 affirmative votes to either rent or sell any of town's property.
I would absolutely support that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's something that we could flesh out. I mean, we've got.
I think I have to chew on that one a little while. I can't give you any. I think I have to chew on that one a little while.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up now. There's a lot of water that still has to go under the bridge, and we've got, over a year or so till it has, something like that would have to go to the supervisor of elections to get on the ballot. But I think that would ensure that if for future generations, that you got to really want to sell it.
Exactly.
You got to really, really need to convert something, to do that. And it kind of takes a lot of, I don't want to use the word willy-nilly, that's not what but it's just too easy right now.
Yep.
It's too easy to do it,
Yep.
right now. And I think we need to make something like that a little more difficult. We're not in the land business, we're in the town business, preserving the open
Space business.
yeah, the open space business, preserving all that. So I'd like to consider it, and if we could let Andy know to move forward with this, I'd like to hear everybody kind of chime in on that if they'd like to explore it a little further.
I
We
think
could
we oughta-
start gathering info.
I think what we should do is add it at another meeting as a discussion item. I don't, in the next, yeah.
Well, that's the whole idea of doing it, is
No,
we
I
make it a further
understand, but I'm
discussion.
saying if we add it as a discussion item, we can spend some time on it.
Do you want me to? I can say. Councilmember Jablonski asked me before the meeting about this issue, and when I said what would require to prevent the town from having direct costs associated with it is to put something like that on the November 18 ballot.
Right.
To do that, it would require an ordinance of the town to seek to put it on the November 18 ballot. So the way to discuss it, if it's the will of the council, is I can draft the ordinance, and it would come before you for 2 readings, and that would be your discussion of the item. It either approves or not, and then at least you have substantial time to give it to the supervisor, and you never run into an issue.
What's your time frame to get it to the supervisor so it gets on the ballot with the window? With a large window? I
It
don't
would
want
have to be June.
Not crunch time.
It would have to be June of 18 for them to have the question.
June of 18.
Correct.
Yeah, we-
Okay. I don't know that I asked you to draw it up just yet, Keith. I think we ought to have it, we got plenty of time, so I just think we ought to have a more detailed discussion about it, that's all. I don't, I mean, obviously, you're
think
going to put it on a referendum. That's the same kind of thing, that's, one of the other thoughts is that you put it on a referendum, you put it out to the residents, instead of us being unanimous, you put it on a ballot and let the residents tell us if they want to sell it or not.
No,
I mean,
that violates the law. That's where we have an issue.
what violates the
Well,
law?
it doesn't violate the law.
If you want to put on the ballot to ask the residents if you want to sell a parcel of land that the town owns, you're not allowed to do that.
No, you're allowed to do that.
Okay.
The city of Hollywood does that. The biggest problem with doing that is the town gets property all the time. And Hollywood has found itself in the same position right now. We foreclose at least 1 or 2 parcels a year. So that means that every one of those properties could not be conveyed without a referendum of the town. So I don't think that would be the intent. If you wanted to do, 5-0 sale and then put it on a referendum for certain properties, you could do that, decision at that time. Or if you were saying now you want to do it for town properties bigger than X amount of acres or something of that nature, 5 acres or more, excluding the CCA site, you could do that. But I'm just saying I wouldn't do it just a carte blanche sale of property because you're going to be in a heap of issues if you do it that way.
Why can't this be discussed a little further and maybe something put into our newsletter so that it goes out to the residents so that they can mull it over for a while and see what their input is and whatever their decision is,
Yeah, but
that's
you
it.
can do all of that by bringing it back as an ordinance. I mean, you got a first reading and you got a second reading. Right?
Yeah, but that's kind of forcing your hand a little bit, isn't it? After the first reading, you have no choice but to move forward on it, correct?
No.
You can shoot it down and not pass
down
it the
anytime
second
you
time,
want.
then it doesn't pass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a problem with, I don't know where we are in the schedule with the town newsletter to get a letter out, to where we can communicate to the residents and then have it on the agenda for the next meeting after they would get the newsletter. I certainly don't want to cut the residents out of the equation, but I would just as soon get this resolved as soon as we can. So I don't know what the schedule is.
Yeah, the 10th or the 15th, I think
So-
Susan said is.
So the 10th is the
10th.
deadline to get into June, and that's usually delivered around the 1st of the month, maybe a little bit before. So if we put this on the agenda for the first meeting in June, we would be,
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
we would kind of cover that and make sure the residents were in the loop.
So the way I understand it is I will draft an ordinance to be put on the June agenda, and I'll work with Andy to put it in the newsletter now. The ordinance will address Councilmember Jablonski's issues, which he's spoken to me about, plus the mayor's issue on sale of property. So essentially, we're going to be looking at three ballot questions to put on the ballot. One will be a referendum to sell property, with some restrictions that I'll put that would require a referendum. That's what the mayor requested to be on there. And Councilmember Jablonski requested any commercialization would be 5 affirmative votes. And your second one was,
Like a lease.
a lease, any lease or sale of property regardless would require 5 affirmative votes to put it out to referendum. So that one would tie into the mayor's, so
Right,
that would
right.
be the same.
Councilman Jablonski, are you okay with that timing, that schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure I knew where I was
So
going.
we can get the ball rolling, get a discussion item going, et cetera.
This is actually comical, because what I'm bringing up when I speak is going to be something relating to property in the town that's somewhere else, so.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so, you're gonna.
He has the consensus, I think.
Okay, all right. That's it, I'm out of gas.
Okay. Mine, does everybody know where Pop's Gun Club is out on US 27?
I do.
Well, it
Yeah.
just so happens that the town owns 5.5 acres behind them.
No, we
The
don't.
town doesn't own, excuse me, the town doesn't own.
It's in the.
It's within the town boundary, okay? And a resident has the property under contract. And he's met with, and I've gone with him, to South Broward Drainage District. South Broward Drainage District has no issues with this property being developed. I happened to talk to Marty Care because he was here and talked to him. No issues, didn't care, obviously, he's in a different division. And actually had a meeting this week and went with him up to West Palm Beach to South Florida, and they presently have no issues. They don't want to acquire it, and they said they'll just berm around it, and he can berm around it, and they're basically okay and good to go. Just get a wetland determination and submit the application for $100 to South Florida, and then they'll kind of see where it's got to go and what's got to be done. So the hurdles that would occur have already been addressed. So where we're at now is I would like you all support in this, send it to the comp plan board. The guy would like to build industrial warehouses. The footprint is 20%. It's a half acre parcel just to the south of the Pop's Gun Club. It's on the corner, and then behind Pop's is a 5-acre tract. So it's 5.5 acres. It's both those parcels. There's a 40-foot road right-of-way easement that gets you back to the 5 acres. And so anyhow, I'd just like you guys, if you got any questions, what you want to know, but I would like your support, send to the comp plan board and see where they can go with it. And I think it'll rock and roll.
I'm fine with sending it to the council.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, let's let the board hash it out and go over. It's on the 27 corridor, and, we've
On the
already.
west side of 27, it's the only other
I
properties
mean,
we have.
that's the purpose of the board.
I agree.
Exactly.
I would send it to the comp board. Let them
Okay. Freddie, you good with that?
mush it over.
Awesome. Okay. So I'll get what information and paperwork I have, get it to Andy. They'll make copies and give it to the comp plan board. Anybody else got any questions on that stuff? We're good.
What,
Go ahead.
what's he planning on putting in those warehouses?
I have no idea.
He never said?
Didn't ask.
Okay.
I mean, for all I know, they'll divide them up and sell them off. I have no clue. So, but he knows there's no water and sewer out there, knows there have to be septic and wells. So, up to speed on everything, so to speak. So, all right, I'm good. legal.
Thank you, Mayor. I was looking at two things only tonight. First, I always hate when the facts get in the way of the truth. As it relates to the gas station issue that's going before the Florida legislature, there are two bills, the House and the Senate. They don't jive at all right now, so no one knows what's going to happen the remaining week of session. But the Senate bill says, while the House bill has no restriction, meaning that Tom Thumb could sell alcohol tomorrow, there's nothing we can do about it, or shall, or, they only mention Tom Thumb, that's the only reason I'm mentioning it. That the Senate bill, which will probably end up winning out and will be the conforming bill, has a 10,000 square foot requirement in order to sell alcohol. The current Tom Thumb site, only mentioning that because that was the one that came before us, is over an acre, 43,561 square feet. The building on the site is 4,145. They could build 10,000 square feet on that site as of right, and by building a second story or otherwise on their existing establishment. So there'd be absolutely no reason for them to want to land swap, move, or do anything else except for add a second story on their existing location. So, to combat that rumor, I don't know where it's coming from, but I can't even imagine that Tom Thumb wouldn't just think to add a second story if they wanted to conform if the Senate bill wins out. Excuse me? The parking wouldn't be based on the size of the C-store. It's based on other issues. But it looks like by a cursory review of the code, I had Robert look at it, that they had the room, they had FAR, and they have the height. So it is what it is, but I don't know where that came up, but I just wanted to put it a little bit to rest.
If they decided to do this and they built up and it passed, is there nothing we can do about that?
No, it's state law.
State law.
Shell law may almost, there are certain stations that may already comply with this,
Kinda like ADA.
depending where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Publix now will be able to sell alcohol as well. Before they were limited to wine and.
I guess liquor stores will be going out of business.
That's generally what is going to happen. As someone who has family in this business, I can tell you that the smaller mom and pop alcohol establishments are going to go by the wayside due to the fact that now that Publix and the big chains have been granted the full rights to sell wine spirits. Previously, it was only wine, meaning wine and champagne. Now they'll be able to sell full wine and spirits after this legislative session. So nothing to do with this, but I just wanted to mention that. In other legal news, there was a small decision in the Pembroke Pines Correction Corporation of America
Small,
case, and that is the fourth DCA reversed the trial court's decision and found conclusively that Pembroke Pines manifested the intent to provide water and sewer to CCA. As a result, it will go back to the lower court at some point. They're all working their appellate motions now to try to get a rehearing and whatnot. I don't think that will occur. I don't think it's appealable to the Supreme Court of Florida. I don't think it will be appealable to the Supreme Court of the United States, even though I heard comments contrary at the Pines meeting the other day. I can tell you that after that, it will go back down to the trial court level. At this time, CCA will most likely request a jury trial itself, and it will be a trial on damages to CCA. Damages to CCA are twofold, in my opinion. One is they sold the property to the town, so their damages is the difference between how much they sold it to the town for and how much it would have been worth had it had water and sewer. That's damages one. Damages two is their lost profit for not having a correctional institution there for a considerable length of
40
time.
years.
40 years. So, although CCA will never discuss damages or anything of that nature, if the bed rate was $68 a day per inmate, you had 2,500 inmates. It was a 40-year contract. You can do the math, and it's not little dollars that we're talking about. So it's going to be very interesting seeing how this goes in the future. Our case with Pines is has heated up because now it's going to trial. But with this decision in the books, gives very unique, new, interesting development, and I'm still of the propensity that I would hope that Pines will call at some point before it's too late for them and to discuss ways of amicably resolving its issues with the town and now resolving it with CCA, because they now have that problem as well. So we'll see what happens, and I'll continue to update you. One other thing that I want to mention outside of the CCA, the waste bid, and sorry, Andy, I just remembered I was supposed to touch on this. The waste bid came back in. The lowest responsible bidder was Waste Pro. No matter what, our waste collection fees are going to go up. Everyone knew that, I think, previously. Right now, we're working diligently with Waste Pro to figure out if there's a way to lower the potential impact on how much they go up based on their bid. One of the things that they're suggesting, and they suggested in the bid, and something that we responded to, that we were open to, but is that they're potentially wanting to look at dividing the town into 2 additional zones to make it from 3 to 5 zones, because by doing that for them, 3 to 6, Andy? Excuse me, 3 to 6 zones, because by doing that for them, they could have a crew here every single day, and that will save them, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it will save them a substantial amount of money, which they potentially could pass on to us by not having to find other things for those crews to do when they're not within Southwest Ranches. Andy, if I'm saying it wrong, let me know.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is that would allow them to have less trucks. So if they're going to be here every other week, they need a significant fleet, and then that fleet would be idled on the in-between weeks. With a smaller fleet and splitting the zones in half, they could collect the bulk in half the zone 1 week, and the second week, the other half of the zone. So that would keep a smaller fleet busy month-wide. They're taking a look at that to see if there'll be cost savings for us.
The second part of the cost savings that we're exploring with them now, and we're hopeful that it will come back well, is the difference between carted waste removal and non-carted waste removal, meaning the trash bags or other bins, is de minimis at this time. I think it's like $3,000 or $6,000 difference. It's really minor. And when I said to Waste Pro, why is it so close in dollar amount between these two? And it's basically the startup cost for supplying the entire town with those big metal bins to utilize for trash collection. So what we asked Waste Pro is, what is the life expectancy on the bins? And it's well over 7 years. It could even go longer than that in most cases. So we said to them, if you look at this at a 5-year contract with a 5-year renewal, which is what we've been doing for waste, will you let us know now what you think the savings could be in the second 5 years, so that we know when presenting it to the commission whether or not it would make sense to pay the $3,000 more or $3,000 less now, because of the fact that there could be a considerable discount in the future. So they're looking into that as well. The final issue of major concern that they're looking into is, many of you know that there's a true waste war going on right now between Bergeron and Waste Management. And it's a war in the court and a war of letters between municipalities back and forth with each other. Andy presented me with a letter that Miramar sent to Bergeron a couple of weeks ago, and it basically said it was actually sent to Waste Management in Bergeron, but it said to Waste Management, we believe you're in breach of our agreement, and you need to come into compliance, and when you come into compliance, then we can discuss whether or not we want to continue your agreement. And as I said to Andy, if I was Waste Management, I would write back saying, well, okay, we're in breach. Let us know when you're terminating. Because they want out of the contract.
Yeah, wrong.
So instead, you put
fed right into
Waste Management on notice of breach. You're putting yourself in a really bad position right now, because they'd like to be in breach because they want out of the contract. Right. So that's not a really good situation for all the municipalities who are in this problem right now in terms of dealing with the two feuding giants about waste disposal. So what does this mean to us? In 2018, the contract is going to expire for the waste disposal, okay? The town, obviously, with all the other cooperating cities, would love to extend our agreement with Waste Management Bergeron for an additional 5 years because the rates are so competitive. Unfortunately, we have no indication now of what's going to happen, and we may be in a situation where we get so close to 2018 that we may not even be able to have time to procure a new vendor if they don't make a compromise and figure out what to do. So Andy and I brought that up to Waste Pro and said, what do you guys know about disposal? And they said, funny you should say that. We had a same conversation with Coral Springs, which is another one of the cities that they haul for. And we said, well, you know, what is your thought on that? And they said, you know, we do a lot of disposal, and we're thinking that if we collect from enough of our cities, we potentially could also have a very competitive rate for disposal of your garbage as well. So what Andy and I asked them for is a cost for disposal that we could put in the contract now that says, in the event that Bergeron and Waste Management do not make amends, and in the event that we are stuck without a vendor in 2018, we will agree to pay you this amount to dispose the trash, so they would be collecting and disposing it until such time as the town is able to look for other options, procure that service. And so far, they've been amenable to look at that. And quite frankly, as Andy and I discussed, that would put the town in an amazing position, because then as they kill each other, we can just sit back because we know we have another option, you know, in case it doesn't work out in the global municipality's favor. So those are the legal updates. Sorry, that's much longer than I intended, but now you're fully brought up on these issues.
Did we not get that yet?
All the letters from the municipalities said the same thing. It was like a canned letter. It said, you're in breach. If you bring yourself into compliance, we're interested in renewing.
Wrong thing to add.
I don't understand the letters. Andy asked me if we should send the letter.
Not like
I just
that.
don't understand why we would send the letter. You
The
know,
letter-
instead we send a letter, it should say, we're interested in renewing, you know, let us know. I said more so we need to know if they're interested in renewing. So I think we should send them a letter at some point that says, please be advised if you're interested in renewing this contract. Because that's actually what we care about, not whether or not, you know, they're in breach because, you know, the town of Southwest Ranches didn't put on its agenda approval of the transfer from Sun to Waste Management. You know, because Waste is probably breaching that on purpose, if you ask me. Because they're hopeful that the cities don't renew. So that's where we stand.
I would tell you we have better pricing at the moment, and if we let it get back to one entity, they're going to name their price.
Of course.
But the other element of it is that we have some real issues with our current contract. So I would not be in favor of just renewing the contract.
Well,
We have to go through a
I think
negotiation.
our problem is with collection, not disposal. I don't even
It's
think.
collection. It's
Right.
collection.
Collection's the one we're switching to Waste Pro.
Right.
So the disposal, I don't think anyone has problems because
Right.
no one knows
Where
what
it goes.
actually is
Right.
going on.
Yeah.
You know, the final issue, just to bring up, because I'm looking at Andy, I believe it's next week, we're meeting with Davey, it's next week?
Next Friday.
To hopefully a final negotiation session on the fire police services contract. And then hopefully we'll bring it back to you at the meeting thereafter for your full review and consideration. So a lot going on, but all good right now.
Okay. Andy?
Thank you, Mayor. Keith, thank you for the contract updates. I can cross those items off my list over here, so I appreciate that. One is, as sorry as we were to see Applebee's close up shop and leave our location, I'm sure you're all enjoying the new pictures that they were kind enough to pass along to us that we've been able to add here in Chambers. Certainly a real nice feel. They did a good job of capturing the spirit of Southwest Ranches. We're very pleased to have added those photos here in council chambers.
Andy, can you talk more into the mic, please?
Yes, Gary.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
And
The
actually,
mic moves to you, you know that, right? Okay, yeah. Just thought I'd point it out.
Actually, I just have one other item. We were talking about Marty before, and we were talking about his Mr. Ethics title.
Yeah.
And I just want you to all know that before he was Mr. Ethics, he was Captain Vigilance. Marty monitors our contracts and our vendor deals like nobody I've ever seen before. And while I had this week, while I was doing your individual briefings, I purposely saved it for today so that I could do this certainly in front of the public and share that with you. But I have here a copy of a check for $23,000 that Marty had found on LGL on the commercial collections that had not been accounted for properly, and we weren't getting our franchise fees, and he was able to go back and look over a period of time, have them correct that, and they brought in a check to us of $23,000 that we weren't aware of, but Marty found.
Marty, find me some money. Show me the money.
And that's all I have,
Thank you,
Mayor, but
Andy.
I had to share that with you this evening. So thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Mr. Moneybags.
It all goes into reserves, solid waste reserves. That's where it's going to be located.
Andy, you done? All right. Number 8. Russell.
Mayor, this is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the second modification to the agreement with AC Shuttles of Florida, Inc., doing business as Jaffa Well Drilling, approving an additional one-year term, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into the second modification to the agreement, and providing an effective date.
Council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to us. Any issues with us?
It's been a
Call the
good
question,
contract.
please.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 9.
A resolution of the Town
Firewalls.
Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches,
Water.
Florida, approving an agreement with Florida Construction and Engineering, Inc. for construction of Year 2 of the Transportation Surface and Draining Ongoing Rehabilitation, or TISDOR, Roadway Improvements Program for Southwest 130th Avenue, also known as Malaluca Road, Southwest 127th Avenue, also known as Appaloosa Trail, Southwest 56th Street, and Southwest 128th Avenue, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
Okay, I'm going to pass this.
yeah.
Let me hold off 1 second and pass to Andy before you make it.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is the next year of the TISDARE program, and as you all know from reading through the memo and the discussion that we had on this, there are multiple options and moving parts. So if it's okay with the council, I'd like to ask Rod Lay to come forward and kind of walk you through what those options are before we start making and amending motions potentially and possibly confusing the issue. Thank you, Rod.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Rod Lay for the record, Town Engineer. So if we could just go over some of all the different alternatives that we have in the bid. The base bid is essentially to mill and resurface south of Sterling on Appaloosa and Melaleuca. Alternative 1 includes drainage, like storm drainage and piping associated with that was included as part of Sunshine Ranch's stormwater master plan. We operated under the impression that TISDOR, the policy the council had made was TISDOR is supposed to only pay for swales and resurfacing of the roads. So it's part of the reason why we made it an alternative for you guys to make a decision and see if you wanted to get money from a different account or something like that to go ahead and cover it. Alternative 2 is on the north side of Sterling is the reconstruction of Melaleuca, Southwest 130th, Southwest 128th, and also Southwest 56th. And alternative 3 is the drainage structures and piping associated with that northern section. So if you guys have any other additional questions regarding those specifics, I'd be happy to get into it.
Steve, I'm going to call back to you on this one.
Yeah, well, I think, thank you, Rod, and thank you, Mayor. So I think that it is critical from the very start that other ancillary drainage items come from a different source. We made a commitment to the town and the residents of the town that the TISDOR funding was for roads and the swale work to preserve the roads and make sure they were maintained, and that funding never be funneled into anything else. And although this is a close neighbor, it is something else. So I think it's important that that not be a part of this. So and if we look at, so that's alternative one. Alternative two, while that is certainly a TISDOR funded project, that's another piece of road and swale work. The funding far exceeds what we would allow in a single year. So I think that one is excluded. And alternative three is the same as alternative one. Once again, not an element that should be included with TISDOR funding. So my inclination would be to just approve this for the base bid amount and keep the extra funding for the following year so that we could accomplish more in the next year and move forward in that way. We do need to talk about, though, not as far as this motion, but we do need to talk about alternate one as far as whether this is the time or not to do drainage for that area as well.
Can I chime in?
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur, Steve. One of the things I think we really need to do is we need to stay within budget with TISDOR. This is easily double the budget. And I'd like to carry it one step further and that we push back a year and do alternate two next year. Because we've kind of already told the folks we were going to do that road.
Mm-hmm.
And they're expecting that. And I know we were going to jump east-west, but this is, the costs are just way too much for 1 year.
Right.
And what I would propose to add to that is that alternate two, which is, just so everybody knows, is the resurfacing of Melaleuca Drive north of Sterling Road from Southwest and 128th and 56th Street. And I would say let's do that next year before we jump back out west. Because they're going to wait another year, but they're already waiting. We've already told everybody here, we're going to do this.
Right.
So I'd say, let's wait till we get the funding, wait 12 months, 6 months, whatever it is, for the new cycle to come in, and then finish that off, because it coincidentally is pretty close to the budget amount already. We already have an estimate. That's obviously going to change a little bit, probably not much, and over the space of 6 months or a year. And I would advocate that we do the alternate 2 and 3 the next year, and then go out west, since nothing's been promised out west yet at this point. And we did make a commitment to the people on the east side that we were going to do this. And
Right.
I think we should stick to it as best we can.
Right.
Without going over budget. That's my thoughts.
I agree with that. I'm sitting here wondering a question, and normally was kind of work this out, in administration, but let me just throw it out there.
Put Rod back up there?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Thanks, Rod.
Rod, so we're talking about putting this over two budget years because it far exceeds one budget year. What I'm wondering is, what if we did this both pieces together next winter? So that we were not exceeding the
Carrying it
budget.
over?
Yeah, we were not exceeding the budget for either year. We basically almost banked this year's money and do both years at the same time with the funding of both. And maybe then, it works out better. We're not bringing them in, coming out, because I know we're
No
we're
double
actually
startup costs.
no double startup costs, and we're actually a little later into the process this year than I would like anyway. We're already coming up against the rainy season, so I just throw that out. I know you hadn't been, it's not something we briefed ahead of time to discuss, but I don't know if you want to think about it first, or if you have some thoughts on that.
No, I think it's a valid point. It's something that we could definitely, from a construction standpoint, it makes perfect sense. From a project layout standpoint, it makes sense because we've already designed those road elements already. So the only thing I'd have a question for maybe Marty in procurement is to see if we went out to bid and it's essentially ready for award, but I guess it hasn't been approved through council. I don't know if we'd have to do something on the procurement side to not issue that contract. I don't know. But from an engineering standpoint, from a construction standpoint, I think it makes perfect sense. We might save a little bit of money on mobilization, stuff like that, but they usually break it down as far as a percentage of total cost anyways. But it'll be some savings, and I mean, yeah, it makes sense. To me, it's something that we could definitely do.
I think I would lean towards that way.
Yeah, it's September, October. I
Right.
mean, wherever it falls,
Come right out of the rainy season, be ready to go, rock and roll, and
then complete the project
that's-
with a 2-year budget.
Okay,
year.
but how far away would that be? Because maybe, just maybe, we can lock that contract in and agree to it, and say, just don't start it till here.
that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. Just, basically say, listen.
delay it 6 months.
We want to wait till the rainy season's over, but we want to do both.
Okay, so essentially award the contract, but issue a notice to proceed to start in
And
next
just
fiscal year,
back it up.
November or something like that.
Yeah, because the new fiscal year starts October 1st,
Mhm.
so we're there.
Okay.
Is there any,
project came in.
Marty, do you have any concerns? I mean, that Rod mentioned?
Not so much until to the award tonight. We would need to designate the 2-year commitment, though. In that budgetary aspect in mind, we could just commit for the amount of funding available for the alternate one, the direction I'm hearing tonight, as well as the base bid. Contractually, I defer to legal on how we can execute the contract, but basically with a timing consideration on budgetary, if that's
Marty,
okay.
it's simple. We would just have to ask the vendor if they'll hold the price for a year.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not a,
Quite a year. Okay.
Yeah, otherwise,
Okay.
for our
You know-
purchasing, we would need to rebid excess of 25,000. So wrapping it all in tonight would be a great idea.
All right, well then, any comments there that? No. Okay, so then I would like to make a motion that we approve this for the base bid and for alternate 2, not to commence prior to October 1st, and that this would be used from funding both for the 2017 and 2018 TISDOR budget dollars.
Second. And now you can open up.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to open it up to the public.
Bob Hartman, Chair of the Drainage Committee. One of the reasons we were trying to go back and forth was to distribute this work and costs and everything somewhat evenly. So I would recommend that after we get this all worked out and figured out, because we got plenty of time now, we look at a large area out west that we could probably apply a similar principle, something where it makes sense to move 2 of the projects in future years into 1 or 2 budget cycles so we can get same kind of traction out west. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. Staying within budget is one of the key problems that you have to take care of, and it appears that you're doing it that way. The other thing is the timing of the projects. My thoughts have always been that on any project that we have to do during the rainy season where you have to, work in the rain, and that it would be detrimental to the project, that the first year, say this year, we should already be planning next year's. And so when October comes around in the new budget season, we can actually, the day after, put it out for bid, and then come January, when it's nice and dry, we can start to work on it, or February, and have it done before the rainy season come, which is this time of year. And here we are this year, 7 months into our fiscal year, just now approving the budget, the contractor to start the work, which would be right in the middle of the rainy season for this year, when all of this should have been done before last year. So when October 1st came, it could hit the streets, and we could then in January award it, and the work can be done. So I'd like for the council to give direction that this is the way it should go in the future. So all of our paving and stuff is done during the dry season instead of when the road is underwater. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, that actually, I've had that conversation with Rod and with Andy. That's a very specific conversation. And there was, this a learning curve this year around, so we're a little bit behind schedule. But what Rod is going to be doing is actually putting together a schedule of when each event needs to take place so that we will get on the schedule exactly as you described it, Newell, and as I would prefer to see it. Yeah, really, so that we begin, the goal is to begin the paving on about February 1st. That's really the goal for the way it was originally set up. And what that does, the reason why February 1st is because the majority of our funding, our actual dollar, comes into the town at the end of the year or in January. So that way we get our funding, February 1st, we start the work, boom, it's done. This year was a little bit of a learning curve, first year to go through this process in this way. So, but I think actually the way we're talking about here should be a great way to get us back on the schedule that we want to be on, because we will be doing the second half of this project in January, February, if not sooner than that. So that'll get us back on schedule, and we should be in good shape.
Awesome. All right, we've got a first and a second. We've got a modified motion that you heard from Steve.
And I have it, yep.
Okay, so if you want to, Keith, does he need to read that again and then?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Then just call the question.
Just recall, this is all going to be subject to vendor approval. If the vendor doesn't approve it, we'll have to come back.
I'm sure they will, but yeah. All right, then call the question.
Can you read that back on how it's going to be worded?
Sure. The motion was to approve for the base bid with the alternate two. Let's see if I can read my handwriting here, my chicken scratch. Not to commence until October 1st, and using 2017 and 2018 TISDOR budget funding. Is that in essence what the motion was?
Yeah, right, yep.
Okay.
All right, you good?
That's it.
I'm good.
Okay, call the question, please.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brikers?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Next, number 10.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a proposal in the amount of $30,147.00 for public right-of-way tree pruning for prestige property maintenance and providing an effective date.
Gentlemen?
Yeah, let me start off. I had a question for Andy. Did you get the answer to that, the 208 question versus 188?
I have not, because December had been out of town and
Got it.
just got
I
here
knew that
prior
was
to
the
the meeting tonight. But I think you can ask her.
Okay, Deke, if you could come to the mic, just a quick question. On your tree pruning, it goes, priority 2 goes from Griffin Flamingo Road to Southwest 188th. My question is, how come it didn't go all the way out to 208? I since drove it, and I didn't see a lot of trees that needed pruned, and that could be a factor, but I mean, I'm just asking the question.
The landscaping that we maintain only extends to 188th on the south side of the road. Everything that's on the south side of the road west of 188th is owned by, even if there's right of way, it's maintained by the homeowners. But we improved to 188th with the widening project.
Good
That make
answer.
sense?
Good answer. Thank you. That answered it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
You good?
I'm going to call the question.
Okay.
We gotta do the
Public comment?
Bill Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. This is a case of east side, west side. And that's exactly what it is. Every year we see the tree cutting budget, and if it's not Mather Boulevard, it's on the east side. The trees that are in the middle of the swale up to Bonaventure Boulevard and all of those, we've got branches that have fallen out of the wind knocked out of the tree that are still there. And I've been waiting for the town to come by and pick them up. And that branch is still there, sitting there, been knocked, the top half of the tree has been knocked out. And now there's where a car has driven through a bunch of trees on the 4-lane section which is Southwest Ranch's responsibility. And the trees have been knocked over so long they're now dead and the leaves are falling off them. I've been waiting for them just to come along and take care of it. Yet I drive now Griffin Road at 7:30 every morning now. And I see Prestige on the east side of town picking up branches in the median. I see them picking up branches on the south side of the road. And I see them picking up the trash on the north side of the road. Not one thing have I ever seen them pick up out west. I will watch them drive their machine around something rather than pick it up. Plus the lousy service that they're giving to all of that berm and everything on the south side. Once you go up the berm and you go down the backside, they're not taking care of the backside. But that was reported 2 years ago, and they still haven't done anything about it. So it's an east side, west side. And what you're now doing is tree trimming again on the east side, where all of the money always goes, except unless it's Mather Boulevard. And nothing is ever done to the west side. I see that as sort of prejudicial, and I'd sure like to see it changed. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, public comment closed. Back to us. Call the question.
Let me make one.
Go ahead.
One comment. It wasn't too bad. While I don't subscribe to the comments that were just made, I don't really see this as an east side, west side issue. I will. You did bring to mind a comment that I do want to respond to. In that if we look at the east side and west side now, last time we had this discussion, it was in the middle of the rainy season, and it was difficult to tell the difference between the east side and the west side. If we look at the east side versus the west side median on Griffin Road now, there's a huge difference. This side is nice and green because it has a sprinkler going and everything is happening here. On the west side, it is brown, it is dead, it looks terrible. So this is why I felt it was important to get the sprinkler system operating out there, and I suspect that once it's out there and it's green on both sides, that it'll look a lot better, and the dead tree limbs will stand out more, and they'll get picked up and carried off. I really think that they're being handled today, but I think it makes a difference. You know, you talk to the police or whatever, it's the broken window syndrome, that when something is not maintained, it accumulates bad things. So that's why it's important to maintain on the other side. We're working on that. We've got the funding for it. I'm excited about it. I check with Andy on a regular basis on that, and it's going to get done. So,
Would you like to ask December to come out and give you an update if she has one related to the west side?
Thank you, December.
I'm very happy to report that we will have irrigation systems repaired this year on the west side of Griffin Road. And yes, that will make a significant impact to the way that things are, at least. And as far as the down tree branch that Newell is talking about, I did notice that just before I left town, and I did mean to send my guys an email and say, hey, I don't want to have to tell you about this, but go get it. And I neglected to do that. But if that's still standing there, that's good. I like that because it just gives me the opportunity to hammer them a little bit harder than I often do. So yeah, I do apologize for that. That's all me. And them, but me. And the other thing is that in a few months, when we're really talking about what we're going to do to continue the improvement project for that side of the road, you guys will have some tough choices to make. I know because finances are tough, but I'm going to be putting forward some things that will alleviate those concerns that I know are not solely with one resident. Other people feel that too, and I really would love to address it if we can afford to do that.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
December. Okay. We ready to call the question? Okay.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brighters.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okey-doke. Number 11.
Item 11 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, amending Resolution Number 2007-058 relating to the town's hourly compensation rate schedule for special magistrate services, providing for conflicts and providing for an effective date.
Mayor,
Yes.
I asked for this item to be put on the agenda, and I probably waited 2 years after it was requested before I put it on the agenda. The town of Southwest Ranches, when it was created 17 years ago, passed an ordinance that said that the council sets the rate paid to the magistrate. The magistrate's fees are spread out over all of the cases, and that's how they get an administrative fee, which is paid. So it's not the town that's coming out of pocket. It's for the processing of all the cases that are before them. At this time, 17 years later, we did one small increase in 2007, and I think the last 10 years, we've had no increase on the rate for the magistrate. Their malpractice insurance have gone up. We're not like the other cities that have a lot of cases 3 times a week, so they keep coming. So because of that, it's not even easy when Gene's not around to get someone to fill in, because they're like, come on, I'm not coming out there. So I was asked to increase it to the minimum amount that I get, and I felt it was fair, so we're bringing it for you for your consideration. The hope is by having this, Gene's not going to be doing this forever, that we'll actually be able to find other people willing to service that role in town.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, public comment is closed. Anybody else have any issues related to this? We all good? Call the question.
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brighters.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. 12.
12 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the purchase and installation of playground safety surfacing material for the Sunshine Ranches Equestrian and Country Estates Fishing Hole Park from A&A Playgrounds for an amount not to exceed $21,000 and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. December, would you come up? I've got a question or two. How was your vacation, first of all?
Thank you for asking. It was great.
Awesome.
Great.
Why wouldn't we use the red rubber pellets or whatever related to that? I know it might be a little more expensive, but it doesn't dissipate and go away. So explain to me kind of why we're using mulch instead of that.
Well, first of all, I do a lot of classes and education and outreach with other cities and how these things perform for me. And that's always something that I've looked at. But we did, at one point, it's like, you made a choice to put in the hardwood flooring versus the tile. So now whenever you have to do repair or maintenance, those are the kind of things that you're looking at. So back in 2005, when we originally did the Equestrian Park Playground, we put in this engineered wood fiber, and that was based upon cost. What we can afford, the most that we can afford, and something that was selected and chosen for its looks, for its performance, for its maintainability. So, and I watch the market very carefully, and I go visit other playgrounds to see how other places perform. So loose fill surfacing material like wood fiber or mulch all do dissipate. They all do have to be raked and placed, made sure that they stay in place. And there are some benefits of one over the other. The benefit of the engineered wood fiber is that it's real easy to replace. I can spot, I can get a little bit of it almost any time. What I need to replace now at the Equestrian Park is a lot. And what I need to replace even at the Fishing Hole Park that we just did a couple of years ago is even more. So it's been since 2005 since we did a full fill job out there, and I've only spot replaced on 2 or 3 occasions at Equestrian Park. In order to, put a whole new kind of surfacing in there, we would need a lot more. It's a little bit more expensive per cubic yard. It's a product that hasn't been tried and proven, and what we've got out there now, when it needs to be replaced, you don't go out there and see, you don't necessarily notice that it needs to be replaced. I know that it does, and those who know how to do the inspections on the playground do. But
So how often are we, what's the normal, what we're doing right now as far as replenishing? How long should that last us? 2 or 3 years?
We've never done what's normal or what's required.
Well,
But,
that's because we don't have the money.
Right, exactly. That's right. And we have done our best, but, ultimately, yeah, there would be a complete turnover of loose fill surfacing material, regardless of what kind it is, every 5 years or so. Yeah, so we've filled in, and what we're going to do, what I have planned to do with this is I'm going to take the majority of the funding and put loose fill surfacing material where it's really low at the Equestrian Park, and then I'm going to take and fill in spots in the critical zones in the Country Estates Fishing Hole Park with,
Is this like the big truck that comes out with it and they blow it in?
This
I mean,
will
yeah.
likely be blown in, yes.
Okay.
I've spot filled before where they came and they did a dump truck in a little loader, and that is equally as effective. You got to get it,
Right.
in there to a certain depth and then compact it down. And
Okay. Anyone else have any questions up here of this? Dee?
I do. I want to know, have we looked into anything else? I have some of the rubber in my beds, and there's no upkeep to it. It's still there. It's been there for years and years. It's never gone away. Even if something like that cost us a little bit more, in the long run, it's still going to save us money. There's manpower involved, machineries. I mean, there's a process in putting that in. Even the artificial turf, spoke to somebody up in Davie, and they had, for Vista View, had considered at one time this foam stuff. It's like the stuff that the kids play with, only it's commercial grade and it's put down. But it deteriorates very quickly. It cracks, it peels up, it's not good. So they opted to put the artificial turf. If this does go bad, they can cut out a section and throw a new one in. Now, I don't know what is underneath there. I didn't get into all that. But is this something that we can look into or check into?
I would so love to, but if you go to Vista View, and I would recommend, if you have an interest in this, there are a lot of playgrounds close by. I've gone to the mall, and you can see, where the trouble spots are going to be. So, on the artificial turf, first of all, it's a lovely surface, and that playground is covered with shade. So it's nice and cool under there, and you go under, and it feels like a little oasis, and it's very soft under your shoes, and kids can run around. What's underneath it are layers of thickness of soft material, because that type of material is called, it's unitary. It's all one piece, or it's pieces that are stuck together, as opposed to a loose fill. And the seams are the problem spots, and wherever a seam is on an entrance or exit to a playground component, that's where problems happen. So, and I've seen, other than artificial turf, they have this poured in place unitary surfacing that's rubber and also feels great under the feet and feels like it would do a great job in dissipating the force of a head trauma. So that's what this is all about. This is about keeping kids, cappies, safe when they fall, as they do. Loose fill surfacing material is considered to be the best at that, at the correct depth. With rubber mulch, you don't need as much depth, but it's more expensive to install per cubic yard or, per unit. And I don't know that what you have is the same as what I would buy. It's not like all mulch is not equal. All wooden mulch is not equal. All rubber mulch is not equal. But I don't know if you guys remember, but in the application closest to what I can imagine that we would see, where Davie had some loose fill rubber mulch in some areas over in their Oak Hill Equestrian Center, that stuff was so hot. And we don't have any shade at the Equestrian Park Playground, and none to speak of at the Country Estates playground.
We had
except
some shade at one time, so do
Well,
we?
it's over the play stuff, though. It's over the play equipment.
Yeah, not the whole place.
It's not over the mulch, and that's
Right.
10,000 square feet of mulch. So whatever, and what causes this stuff, besides water and wind and, weather, what causes this stuff to move is people moving upon it in droves over, a certain area, up to the stairs, under the swings. This stuff moves around quite a bit. And I don't know if it's equivalent to what you've experienced, which has looked like it stayed great.
Well, it's just in a flower bed, so it's really not getting walked on, and it was a bigger grade, but they do make a smaller grade. And I believe now you can get it in different colors. It doesn't necessarily have to be black.
Right, right.
So, I mean, this is just something that, I'd like to see if we could get a price, what the difference would be, and, is there any major maintenance on that as opposed to the mulch?
The maintenance would be the same. It's just the amount that we would have to buy in order to switch over. And then to maintain it. I can go locally somewhere where they have the engineered wood fiber that I need to spot replace little areas. I can't do that with rubber. I can't just replace that with any kind of rubber mulch. There's a certain percentage of metal content in all rubber mulch because it's made from recycled tires. So they certify the kind that you put on your playground, but there is still some metal. And I don't know. Yes, I would be glad to research the price, but I do have some concerns that we budgeted for this. I only searched the price for this. If I had budgeted for loose fill rubber, it would have probably been a higher. I would have asked you for more money this year to do that because I really want to get the levels back up where they need to be. And I'm not even getting,
If we approve this tonight, how soon will that get done?
2 weeks. Well, get done in 2 weeks. If we approve it tonight, if you approve it tonight,
It'll be done in the next
then
30 days.
then my contractor, the A&A Playgrounds, the guy who's local, he said that he can get it to me in 2 weeks.
Okay.
It does sometimes take longer, though, and I do have a concern about that.
I guess my thought would be then, we'll go ahead and move forward with this, but I guess in the future, before we do this again, let's look at other options.
I'll provide you guys with information. I will ask for information.
Yeah, you don't have to
even
do it
if we
right
go
away,
forward
but
with
I mean,
this.
obviously, if we're moving forward with this, you're getting it done. We've addressed the issue and the problem moving forward, but before we throw money at it again, let's have some other price on some other options, whether it's artificial turf or, that particle stuff or whatever. I don't know what's out there on the market related to it, but we were just thinking there was something that might last a little longer. That's all. Anybody
Longer-
else have any questions over here? 11 years. Okay. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any public comment on this? Seeing none, public comment closed. Call the question, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes. Team. Number 13.
Number 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving an agreement in the amount of $143,170.25 with Weekly Asphalt Paving, Inc. to complete the Country Estates Park Ball Field improvements, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it, and I'd like to add something if I could before we
I
get to
think you're gonna-
discussion.
Go right ahead.
Well, one of the things I want to add is I received a phone call from Astor Knight, who wanted to be here tonight. He is under the weather. He sounded very bad on the phone, and he was very excited that we were finally doing this, and he apologizes for not being here, and he wanted me to come out of the gate with that.
Awesome.
And I just want to make sure
great.
that's on the record.
Great to
you
hear
know, and
from
all
him.
that. His foundation is contributing a substantial sum of money
Yeah.
to doing this. And from the day I took the oath of office in 2010, that was on his agenda with me. So I just want to make that for the record.
It's coming to fruition.
Yeah, so it's exciting. This is, as you said, this is really one of the things that he's been talking about for a decade.
Forever.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What I wanted to mention, I would rather, Andy, if you can relate the story rather than me, but I think Weekly has gone out of their way to, really to work with us on this project, and I just want that on the record, and I want them to be acknowledged for what they've done to help us in this project.
They always do.
There's a lot of people rowing right now.
Yep.
Sure, the Weeklies, and Dan Weekly specifically, have been outstanding. They've been wonderful partners. It was their intention to be a good neighbor and be a good part of our community. We had budgeted for this project $50,000. I'm sorry, $150,000. $50,000 of that was a FERDAP grant. $20,000 came from Astor and the Parks Foundation, and $80,000 the town budgeted towards that $150,000. Of the $150,000, we've spent about $7,000 on design and some of the preliminary work that needed to be done. We went out to bid on this project, and the one bid that we got back was from the Weeklies, and it was for $160,000. Well, we had budgeted, as I said before, we budgeted 150. We had 143 left in that puddle of money, and so we had a problem. It put me in a position where I either needed to come to the council and say, we need more money to get this done, or we had to revise the specs, go back out to bid, lessen the project, and hope to get a lower bid that came in and complied within our budget numbers. So at my request, Rod Lay, the town engineer, and Emily Assetti met with the Weeklies and basically said to them, this is our budgeted amount. Can you do it for that? Otherwise, we might have to go out to bid. We don't really want to go out to bid. And I was hopeful that they'd get to the $150,000, which we had originally budgeted, because certainly within that budget, we could try to find some money to offset the design cost. The Weeklies stepped up above and beyond where I was hoping they would go to the 150 and went to the 143. So they complied with our request so that we're able to move this project forward, keep it on time, keep it on target, keep it within budget. The only thing that we had to agree to is if Dan Weekly would go out there and run the equipment himself on a Saturday, because Dan enjoys running the equipment. And so he wanted to know if he could go out there and run the equipment and work on this job himself. And we said, absolutely. We're happy to have him. So, certainly from this standpoint, we're very happy to bring this item forward for council approval and not ask you for an additional nickel beyond what's been budgeted.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you. Any public comment?
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. The numbers that are written down in your packet don't add up at all, especially the way they're done. I spoke with Councilmember Chipolowski, and he explained it one way, but I'm still going to go through it because this here is terrible. First, take a look at the title, which is in the agenda, and you've got a number that says it's 143,170.25. Now go to page 98 of 123 for the fiscal impact analysis. And I want to go through this with you the way I read it, because I read it exactly the way it's set up. The town budgeted $150,000 in this year's town budget, period. The town was awarded a $50,000 Florida Recreation grant. And Astor Knight Parks Foundation donated $20,000. You read it that way, it's $220,000. Then we had the costs, $6,829.75, and the project completion is $143,172.25, for a total of $150,000, $2. Now, two questions come to mind. One, was the other $69,998 being spent? like to finish.
Go ahead.
Or two, where's the budget adjustment for the $2? That's because no one is proofreading this stuff and setting it up so someone who reads English in the proper manner can do it. And I've brought this before you before, that things are not being worded correctly, not being done correctly, not being added up correctly, and therefore being put forward incorrectly.
We'll have Marty fix it.
So whoever's writing this and doing this is doing it wrong. And I, as a regular citizen, take a look at these numbers and I add them on my little pocket calculator. And I come up, okay, where's the budget adjustment for $2? Or even
All right.
worse,
Enough,
what are you
enough.
spending this $70,000 on?
Okay, enough.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Mike Hanley, 205 Avenue.
Come on up to the mic, Mike.
We spend a lot of money on toys and playgrounds and mulch and stuff. When are you going to build a tennis court for adults?
I don't think it's anywhere on, I haven't seen one on the maps anywhere.
We sure got a lot of toys for kids. What about the big kids?
Don't
What's
you
a
have-
tennis
hold on.
court?
Don't you have enough property to build your own?
No.
Oh.
Do you?
Yeah,
I'll
actually,
come to your house and play.
I actually do, but I don't play tennis.
Doesn't look like too many people do.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Public comment is closed. We do have a motion in a second. Call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Is this before or after the $2 mistake?
For the
Yeah.
record, it's the Scribner's.
I vote for the lower amount, yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Absolutely, yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approval of minutes.
Where's Debbie Green?
It's in the staff report. It's not in the budget.
Any input on approval of minutes?
Here's what happened. Look,
Thanks for coming.
Rod put that figure in that figure. It should have been 0.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any public comment on the minutes? Seeing no public comment closed. Call the question, please.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Ooh, chili. Good night, Andy. Let me give you a hug.